Grounded, the game where you get shrunk down to the size of a Lego piece and thrown into your backyard. It's finally on the Nintendo Switch. I say finally, but I never really expected this game to get released on this console. Is this game best on Switch, or should you get it on another device like current gen consoles? This is a hefty game with a lot of unique survival mechanics, and of course, a graphically intensive open world. I didn't think there was a lot of hope for this game to get released on this device, which has the graphical power of a toaster. After finally getting revealed in a Nintendo Direct partner showcase, this was shown to the shock of many. It was rumored that Microsoft games were coming to the Switch, but many people suspected Hi-Fi Rush instead of Grounded because Hi-Fi Rush just seems like more of a Switch game. Anyways, this game is a survival game that takes place in a yard. You play as a kid who has been shrunk down. Your task is to build a base, find collectibles around the map, and of course, survive against creatures that roam the yard, like bugs. Yeah, the main enemies here are massive bugs that roam around and try to smoke you. Personally, I'm not a bug lover, so playing this game for me is essentially like playing Five Nights at Freddy's. There's even an option for people who don't like spiders. You can decrease the quality, but I'm fully invested, so I gotta look at these leggy boys. I was pleasantly surprised with the overall look of the game. I was expecting extremely limited shadows, low resolution, a choppy sub 30 frames per second, but I clearly didn't give the team at Microsoft Game Studios enough credit for porting this baddie. The textures aren't nearly as flat as I expected. They are lowered, but not to the extent that you can't make out what it is. Most of the textures are mainly affected by the resolution, which seems to be a tad lower than 720p docked. I also noticed that the audio seems kind of crunchy and compressed, which makes sense because you gotta fit it on this console. Same with the opening cinematic, it's a pre-rendered, low frame rate, compressed video. Generally, when you play current gen consoles or powerful PCs, this game defaults to having a heavy depth of field blur effect, but on Switch this isn't present at all. And at first, this was fine, but I found that without it, I would often misinterpret how far something is in the distance. Again, it's not necessary to gameplay, but I think it helps with immersion to visualize how tiny you are and separates the background from the tall blades of grass right in front of you. Very often in taxing games like this, you'll see dynamic resolution, which lowers the overall resolution of the game so that the Switch doesn't burst. And this game is no exception. Most of the time, you don't notice it, but it can be blatantly obvious in some cases, like when you're looking at the map from a tall place. It's very noticeable. But I managed to absolutely destroy the resolution, but I'll touch on that in a little bit. I think the most noticeable thing in this version is the hefty amount of pop-in. There's both asset and texture pop-in. Sometimes when looking at a creature, you'll slowly see it fade away because it's got too far away. You can also see this on rocks and their textures. Some textures might not even load in until you get close enough. This might make it a little more difficult to see what's in the distance or to know if you've discovered the area or not. Also, the shadows are pretty pixelated and not as sharp as current gen consoles, but I'm glad that they're here in the first place. But let's talk about playing handheld because it's probably the reason that you'd even want this version. From what I could tell, the frame rate is a little more stuttery in intense moments, but it looks fantastic on the Switch OLED and is surprisingly sharp. I think one of the game's most important features is cross-platform play. You can actually play this game with up to 3 friends in the main adventure mode, or in the Sandbox mode, where players can create their own games and freely build with no restrictions. You can do this by signing into your Microsoft account and finding friends through that. I don't know if you've ever needed to sign into a Microsoft account on another platform, but it's a pain. They make you go on your phone and type a code, and then get a code from your email, and even when I did all that, it said it wasn't able to connect properly. Something to do with my account. So stupid, I don't know why. I'm just gonna guess it wasn't working because it's day one and they haven't really worked out all the kinks yet. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to try this feature out, but if they can get this to work properly, this is a really awesome addition. Imagine playing with someone on the couch while they're on their Switch and you're just using the TV on an Xbox. This is the perfect game for that. Now, let's talk about the Sandbox mode. Since I'm fairly new to the game, I didn't really know where to start, so I just spammed a bunch of enemies to see if I could reach the limit of the Switch. And surprisingly, there doesn't even seem to be a limit for the amount of creatures you can put on the map. So I went absolutely sicko mode. And I put so many things on the map that the dynamic resolution was so blurry, I might as well have been playing without my glasses. I got a little ahead of myself and practically broke the game. I had no other choice but to exit, but Sandbox mode actually seems pretty fun if you know what you're doing. As a first-time player, the gameplay itself was very addictive. I enjoyed it and can't wait to see what the story has next, but I'd want to play with someone else as it can get a little frustrating roaming the yard yourself and constantly being jump scared by these 8-legged freaks. It was fun going through the map, adding these bugs to your Pokédex journal thing, collecting tapes, and getting raw science to upgrade your capabilities, all while creating and crafting weapons and building up your base. And the fact that this is running on Switch is just incredibly impressive. This could be one of the best optimized survival games on Switch. The developers of ARK should have taken some notes. So if you like survival games, maybe give this one a stab. And all the content is here too, so you're not missing out on anything. And the price isn't stupidly expensive either. Right now it's only $40. If the Switch is your only option and you've been dying to play this game, then I support you wanting to buy this game at at full price. And chances are it will go on sale in the future, so you'll enjoy your time on this console. But if you have an Xbox or PC, consider getting a trial of Game Pass and downloading it just to see if you like it. But if you have an Xbox, you should probably just get it on Xbox because it runs great on there. And also PS5, runs good on PS5 from what I hear. But again, if you're a handheld gamer like me, check out the merch, Handheld Gamer, link in description. Yeah, this is a great option for the handheld gamers out there. I mean, you could also run it seamlessly on other handheld consoles like the Steam Deck, but chances are if you're watching this video, you probably don't have a Steam Deck and you're only interested in the Switch version. This game isn't best on Switch, but for how big this game is, it's a great port. But hey, if you only have a Switch, then yeah, it probably is best on Switch for you. Please consider liking and subscribing if you like this video, and if you want to see me compare 50 games on Steam Deck versus Switch, click this one. I'll see you in the next one. See you later.